Welcome to another episode of The Velvet Hammer.
And here we go.
All right, so last summer, Karen and I tried our first case together, and it was a protester who was unfortunately killed when a car went the wrong way down the freeway in I-5. And so we were selecting a jury to do this case. Our lawsuit was against the state for designing a roadway carelessly, which led to this. And because of that, with those actions caused protesters' death. We walk into this. Karen's like, first of all, Karen's like,
I know it's coming.
Karen's like, I'm gonna do voir dire. and then I'm like, okay, all right. She's like,
No, he patted.
yeah, I pouted a little. I pouted a little. I went, and then she's like, you've only done criminal voir dire. Civil voir dire is different. You're not gonna be able to do this. Okay, so I'm just gonna do it. All right, and you can just watch and take notes, and then the next case you can do it. It's like, okay.
This is all true.
Okay. Then she comes back and goes, all right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do the first panel, and then you can do the second panel.
It's because he pouted so much, I felt bad.
No, wait. Okay. Wait. Okay.
No, it's not really. I didn't just feel sorry for him. I did feel like he could do it.
Okay. So then we go in, right? And then she's like, and then by the way, Karen is sticking out Karen. She is sticking out Karen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't
Sticky.
Yeah.
I mean, every little thing, little sticky note.
I just use little words. I don't use like.
Yeah. Like a little word, like yes, or tall, or peach. And I'm like, how does this mean, right? Okay, wait. All right. So she goes through. We're doing Zoom voir dire. We're in King County. All right. And Karen goes through the Zoom voir dire, and then we take a break.
Wait, how did I do?
She did excellent. She was fantastic. And
that wasn't very descriptive. It's
okay.
Zoom voir dire, which you hate.
All right, I hate it.
It's very different.
Karen was very calm. She was very focused on each juror, and she would move along, and she was very pleasant.
And why, just to interject, why do you hate Zoom voir dire?
Because, look at me.
You can't.
You can't get the connection that you did across the bar.
Could you imagine me bartending over Zoom?
No.
It is not the same.
No.
Yeah. No, I know it isn't.
It is a lesser form of our craft, but that's what the judges want, and you can make do with it.
Well,
but
it's the convenience now that they're going for.
Well, it's not just convenience. The old way, about 20% of the people that they called would come to the courthouse. With voir dire by Zoom, it's about 80%
Everybody shows
participation.
up. Yeah.
So they have this really high participation rate.
Yeah, the heat, the action is missing.
Okay, back to the story.
Okay. So then we're done with the first panel, right? And then we go take lunch. So we walk across the courthouse. We're sitting there and we're eating lunch. And then Karen goes, she's like, okay, I'm going to do the second panel. I don't think you can do it. she's like, you can't do it. You see, we got to get these two. One of them's a cop. We got to get the cop off. She's like, you can't do it. You're not going to be able to do it. I'm going to just do it, okay? And then she just keeps eating, her little vegetables and stuff because she doesn't eat anything that is meat-oriented because she's complete vegetarian. She's eating her little vegetables.
Vegan.
Little vegan, little carrots and cucumbers. She's like, and then she goes up. She's like, okay, you can do it. Okay, I'm gonna let you do it.
He's like whipsaw like this.
And then I'm like, by the way, I've not said anything. I was like, okay, sure, fine. All right, yeah, go ahead. All right, okay. And then she says, okay, you can go do it. All right. And then so like, she's like, you got to get him off. You got to get those two off. If you don't get those off, I'm gonna just get in and I'm gonna do it. So I go. We go in.
It's true.
We go into the back to the
I'm a little bit of a control freak.
We go back to the courtroom, and I'm sitting there about to do the voir dire, and then suddenly stick. I'm literally like, by the way, the jury can't see.
Yeah.
Okay, because they're not in the courtroom with me. They're just see the screen and stick. Little sticky notes everywhere. Like, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? I got those two jurors off for cause within 5 minutes, and then she let up.
It's true.
And then she relaxed, and then she let me do my thing. But I just gotta tell you, it was such a joy, watching her, working with her, and that dynamic continued throughout the entire trial. Even after we selected the jury, the whispering,
I thought you meant me saying you can do this and then change
but
my
then
mind.
taking it away.
No,
Which I kind of did.
She did. She would say, "Oh, by the way, you're now taking these 3 witnesses." I'd like, hello. It would have been nice to know this when the trial started, but I can do that. I don't mind. Or when I'm up there and I'm questioning a witness,
They change click, 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 click.
you hear click, 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 and it's her walking up, and then you go stick, 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 right in front of the jury, and the jury's looking at me, and I go, and I look at him, and the jury smiles, and I go, oh, and I ask the question, or you will hear her go, psst, psst, Mo. I'm talking to the witness. I go, yeah. She's like, you're boring.
I did. I said you're boring them.
You're boring them. Stop asking those questions.
Oh, God.
Wait, this is beyond voir
That's
dire.
beyond. But I had to say because that's like, part of the process of voir dire is you're doing it with another lawyer, and the jury picks up on the synergy between the 2 lawyers. But that was stylistically the cop that I removed. It was just 2 questions. I was like, "You're a police officer for Seattle Police Department." Yes. I was like, "Were you involved in the protests?" Yes. Obviously, every one of them was.
So here, by the way, I believe that the jury panel was so critical on this case, and that's one of the reasons why we lost. And here's the problem: this was a very political case.
Yeah.
And the people were protester got stricken for cause. And there were so many that were pro because we're in Seattle. And it was like reverse for us. Like we were trying not to let them get all of our people off, but they did. They got so many of them off for cause.
They did.
Because they would say, yes, I believe that protesters have the right to free speech as long as they're not being violent, which this is a case of a peaceful protester.
Yeah.
And remember I told you I'm a heart person because I'm looking at what is in that heart. And I can tell you when we do our 4th episode, which should be on for cause, how I get people off for cause, it's always by the heart. It's not by the head. I get them off by the heart. So we were just watching our jury just shrinking and becoming not the jury that we wanted. And there was nothing we could do because people wouldn't say they would keep an open mind about it.
Do you think that some of that was the judge showing his bias, maybe?
No.
It was
We had a
just
great
that.
Judge was great.
Great judge.
And she didn't try to rehabilitate. So, one thing that judges do, which is not great, Mo already described it, I talked about it, is they say, we move for cause, and the judge says, well, juror number so-and-so, if I read the law to you, you will follow it, won't you? And you can be fair and impartial until you hear all the evidence because you haven't heard any right now, right? And the jurors will all say yes, yes, and the judge will say, yeah, no, we're not going to agree to excuse that juror for cause. So they rehabilitate them, and aggressively, which is a no-no. But a lot of the judges do that. This judge, Judge Woodland, did not do that at all.
She was a fantastic judge.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this. When a judge is talking to a juror, is entirely different dynamic than when a lawyer is. Mm-hmm. Because the jury looks at the judge as the authority figure in the room.
Likes the judge.
And likes the judge. And so when a judge says, yeah, but when I give you an instruction, will you follow it? What the hell do you think they're going to say? Of course I'm going to follow it.
But I mean, I guess my question for that case then would be, if the jurors are talking about that they think that First Amendment's important, how can that be something that they're getting cut for?
No, they weren't just saying that the First Amendment. What they were saying is that, the media was so saturated with the protests, they were already of the position that the police had overreached.
Oh, okay.
And they had already.
So they were biased against the police for
Yeah,
sure.
they were just
no change.
It just said, yeah, they were just if they're just there's a difference between violent protesting and protesting, and what the consensus was with a lot of the jurors was that they were just beating people up indiscriminately, which was all over the news. And so there are some cases like that case, like it's just inherently bias built into it because of the visibility and the knowledge that already is in the sphere about the case.
We knew what the divisions of the people were going to be because we do mock trials, we do focus groups, so we knew the archetype of who was going to come. What we didn't foresee was how many people were going to be so pro-protester that they would be knocked out for cause. It was a lot. It was so many. I don't think I've ever had a case other than Ride the Ducks where everybody hated the Aurora Bridge. I also didn't really understand how many people we would lose who hated the Aurora Bridge, because we tried to also sue the state and the city for the Aurora Bridge, but all those jurors got knocked out because they hated that bridge more than they hated the Ride the Duck company. And we just lost everybody.
There's also misconception that when you're suing the government for money, that the taxpayers are paying for it.
Yeah.
That is not accurate. It's not.
They're insured.
They're insured. And the taxpayers, it doesn't come out of the tax coffers. But so...
Well, sometimes it does.
Yeah, I was going to say some of that money is intermixed.
Well, some,
When the cases against children being abused in foster care. And
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
like that,
Okay, that's...
after a while they run through all their insurance.
Yeah.
And then they don't have much insurance
Then
left.
the public's paying for it.
Yeah.
So
But in this case, it was an insured event.
It was an insured... So they were trying to think about... Well, I mean, I think they were thinking about why are these... What is so special about the case? And what we could not preview the case. We weren't allowed to preview the case a great deal. But what I feel that the defense took advantage of...
What do you mean? Who wasn't able to preview the case?
Like, we weren't going into the nuts and bolts and facts of our case.
Oh, you mean with Vardir? No.
With Vardir.
But we didn't have to because, a lot of people had already knew it from the news.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Most of
I
them.
can't believe anybody at that time
Most
wouldn't have known
people,
that happened.
Almost everybody did.
What the state did that was tactically smart, and I think that they learned from Vardir, is they put on a police officer who was sympathetic, presenting, to speak on behalf of the state. And in fact, that police officer cried on the stand.
Yeah.
They did not put the head of the agency up, the head honcho.
Yeah.
Because he presents very
Okay,
aggressive.
we're going too far.
Well, that's Vardir. I mean, that's learning from Vardir.
I guess my question for that then would be, in the Summer Taylor case, how do you feel, was it just that the political environment created a jury pool that was biased against the police, or was it that what you ended up with sort of failed what you hoped the jury would do?
Well, so it was a little more. It wasn't just such a one issue thing. Even the ones that stayed and ultimately ruled on the case, no one was happy about the state and the city.
Yeah.
Because of how they kept letting the protesters on, and then they didn't take these additional safeguards. They came on their final decision really was more of the guy that went up the wrong way. That wasn't something that the state should have had to foresee, even though they could have blocked it off and done a better job.
Yeah.
I think all of the jurors were critical that, like, either you let them on and keep them safe, or you don't let them on. Like, why would you let them on and then criticize them? The jury found that there was no negligence for Summer Taylor, which was a victory for us.
Yes.
A moral victory and a huge victory for that family. That Summer Taylor was not negligent because the state and the city created this platform for those protesters to go and protest on. So more complex, but the bottom line was we lost our jurors, and then you end up with alternative jurors, right? So you get the 12, but then I try to get one alternate for each additional week. So if it's a 4-week case, then it'll hopefully have 3 alternates. This case was a 2-week case. We tried it really fast, 2.5 weeks.
We tried it fast.
There was 2 alternates. And unfortunately, our best juror was one of the alternates.
Yeah. But what's interesting about the selection process?
I mean, that could have been the whole difference between the whole case.
Oh yeah.
So, but the alternate was selected in the beginning. I can't remember some judges picked the alternate at the end.
We knew who the alternates were.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was on the jury, they sat the 12 and the 2 alternates or one. I can't remember how many they had.
Some judges are smart. They say, "I'm not going to tell you which one of you are the alternates,"
Yeah.
so that they all pay attention, because you don't want the alternates going, "Well, I'm not going to decide anyway,
Yeah.
so I'm going to doze off."
I mean, it's positive and negative. I once had a juror who became almost hysterical, broke down crying when they learned that they were alternate at the end, because they were so invested in the case and so devastated that they could not participate in the deliberation. There's no good way. There's no good way.
There's no good way. It was interesting that this thinking about how we did voir dire and the outcome of the case. Would I have, going back in time, would you have done anything differently?
How could we have saved any of those jurors?
I don't think there's anything we could have done.
I mean, yeah. Anyway, there's more cases than that case, which was very difficult because of that reason.
Yeah.
But so when I go into voir dire, I do have little sticky notes. I also use cue cards, like index cards, but I'll typically have like 4 words written down on it and those are the things that are particular to the case. I told you, like alcoholic, like that was one. So we were looking for a liberal jury. We're looking, and or you're looking for people who may not be comfortable with different lifestyles of other people, or their background had a criminal element in it that is going to come out, or they had, there's something. You should never present someone as perfect. There's always to be something that's not, or that you're concerned about. There's a lot of biases against a lot of different things. Like if your client's a lawyer, holy heck, you're going to have a really hard time winning that case. You just will. If it's a medical negligence case, there's a huge bias favoring the doctors. Yeah. So you need to figure that one out. You have to go to these topics that you are worried about. So I will do that, but then I don't just look at liability. I have to look at damages. And so for me, the issue is who is going to be a problem on damages. You can have a great juror on liability, but if you don't have damages, then what was the whole point? So I have little tried and true. It's like I don't bring in a suitcase of stuff, but it's like I do. From all my years of doing voir dire, you have these different little models, little thinking models that you can work with the jury to just talk to them. And it's not really premeditated, like, because you're not reading it, but they're little models. And so I'm going to tell you one of my models.
Yeah, tell us some of these.
Okay, this is my damage model. This was invented by someone else so long ago, and that I don't know who it was, but it's not unique to me. But it's one that I almost always use, and I don't care who knows about. Like, a defense lawyer can listen to this, and I don't care. And in fact, this podcast is open to the world, and we don't care, because for me, it's like, I have never met a defense lawyer to this day, and I can deserve my comeuppance, who's done voir dire better than I do. Because most defense lawyers are more scripted, and they have to go through way more channels, and they're accountable to way more people. Versus I can go there and tell you, I'm going to go in there with my heart, and I'm looking for the heart. Like, what kind of a mission is that, right? So, but this is one of my little models. You're at a Starbucks. Go to Starbucks. I use Starbucks. Other people have used different things. This is as old as time. You're on your bicycle. You drive up to Starbucks. You park your bike. And you get out, you go in, you're looking through the plate glass window as you're standing in line. Car comes up, and you parked your bike perfectly right. Like it's in the correct stall. And person comes up, hits your bike, knocks it over, damages it. Who should pay for that?
You would think that it would be the person that hit your bike.
Okay. Who agrees with that?
Everybody,
Everybody.
20 people raise their hands.
Same scenario. You've parked your bike, except for this time you're still on your bike. Car comes, hits you, breaks your right hand. Who should pay for that?
Did you park your bike correctly?
Still same thing.
Same
Parked it-
thing?
everything
Everything's the
correctly.
same except for
Everything
you're on the
correctly.
bike.
I'm on the bike.
Still the person who was driving.
Who should pay for my medical bills?
The person who's driving or their insurance company, because to have a car that you're driving, you're supposed to have insurance.
So same scenario. I broke my hand, and I am a transcriptionist. I can not type. I'm going to miss 2 months of work. Who should pay for my lost wages?
The person's insurance company or them that hit you.
Okay. Same scenario. I'm a transcriptionist. I do have an anxiety disorder. And for my stress management, I play the piano. I've been told that I can no longer play the piano the way that I used to. I can't play it at all for the next 3 months, but even after that, I have a little arthritis now. My fingers are not quite as mobile because it was a complex fracture of my wrist. And it actually hurts me when I play the piano. Who should pay for that?
This is where it gets really difficult. 'Cause
Every
you
time.
Added a few different things in there that I'm going to point out. The arthritis now makes it so that you can't play as much. But was there anything that you had before that accident that might have caused that?
Everything is related to the accident.
Okay. So no pre-existing conditions
No.
whatsoever. I mean, it's getting sticky now, but I still would say it's the car and their insurance company.
Okay, but this is where it breaks down. And people will say things like, you can get another hobby.
Yeah, I thought that for a second too.
So you start to be able to identify. And then you say things like, once you're done with exploring that, then it's not the end. Then the next one is, now, you don't know anything about the person who hits you's financial ability to pay for anything. You will not. You will not learn that there's insurance or not. You will not learn anything about them. And you're going to make this judgment. Will that change your decision?
I would say no, but I feel that most people would say.
Because you work for plaintiff
Yeah,
lawyers.
exactly.
You don't
I can't. It's too hard for me to go that deep into being a normal
Yeah.
person now.
So-
But I think that most normal people would say yes.
Yes.
So-
yes. Of course, yes. Of course, yes.
So, what this vehicle? All I'm looking at is a vehicle for discussion, and it's super obvious what I'm doing. I'm not trying to manipulate them.
No.
I'm not using the facts of the case. I just want them to get to the place to discuss the gray area of general damages, which is the area that I am most interested in. I'm not interested in them paying medical bills or wage loss. I know they'll do that. I want to know the general damages stuff. And so that's what I'm focusing on. And in voir dire, you make a mistake if all you do is focus on the liability as a plaintiff lawyer. You have to focus on all of it. You have 20 minutes to do it twice.
Yeah.
So I need the vehicle that'll get me there really fast. And so then this is where I wrote a voir dire booklet many years ago, like 15, but I describe it as my witch's brew. And so I'm doing my witch's brew, and I'm throwing in all these different elements, and I'm doing the witch's brew, and juror number 1 pops into it, and then who else has that, and more and more and more, until I'm content that I know who is all in the witch's brew, and then poof, I'm going to get them thrown out for cause. And I'm not going to get them thrown out for cause. I'm going to invite them to leave, and they're going to want to get out of the case.
Yeah.
So that's because there's magic. That's why I call it the witch's brew. It's a magical process, when I used to do the deselection where I wanted to get him out, and it was kind of, like, I'm going to get you out. I don't do that. I'm going to invite them out, and they're going to be trotting out that door happily and empowered and feeling respected. So that's my kind of an example of how I deal with voir dire. It's not just like, show me your heart and I'll show you my heart. It is way more focused, but also not manipulative. I don't want to manipulate them. I want them to look at their heart clearly along with me and decide, is this really where I belong? Because most people, I believe, want to do a good job. They want to fulfill their civic duty. They want to be proud of it. And they shouldn't be conflicted.
Okay, we should wrap this one up. And
Famous last words from Mo.
Famous last words is that that's an entirely effective way of dealing with something in plaintiff's cases that most lawyers don't, which is damages. It's a very good tool, what you just described. I've never heard you talk about that. I was very impressed.
Didn't I do that in Summer Taylor's case?
No, you didn't.
Oh, well, maybe. I did something else. But I don't always do everything. You shouldn't always do everything like rote, but it's a very common thing that I would do.
That's a really good tool. Yeah.
okay.
Well, that's all for today.
Until next time.